All right, well, I'm still learning this new streaming service. So it says I'm live, so I'm gonna take it at its word. Looks like I'm live. Hey guys, give me the usual video and sound checks, okay? And then additionally, give me the you're not freezing mic check, like I was on Tuesday night. So let's see, who do we have here? Who's said hello so far? There it is. Brian, Kim, Frank, Darren, Dave, hey Chaz, hey Marianne, 100, it's 102. I guess the sun hasn't gone down. That's kind of strange for LA, isn't it? To be that hot. Wow. Yeah, it is cooler here, but not by much. The sun just went down a few minutes ago. Um, but yeah, thanks for saying I'm cool. Hey, Alan and Edward and Suzanne. Okay. Uh, I'm waiting for that movie to happen, that apocalyptic um, movie, The Day After Tomorrow, because I think I could deal with that better. You remember that movie where what's it? Yeah, it wasn't that great of a movie. Although it gets points for the Dick Cheney look-alike at the end of the movie there. So yeah, 88 in San Diego. That's quite a difference from LA, isn't it? Yeah. All right, so I am curious, you guys. Um, who has to work tomorrow morning? Um, tell me in the side chat if you have to work tomorrow morning. I'm just no reason at all. I'm just curious. Oh, Alan, you guys just started, didn't you? Danielle started um this past Friday. So she's they don't have students there yet, but I think they're coming on Monday. So yeah, everybody's working. I can't believe you guys stay up just to listen to me talk. I mean, really. Um, had this old story queued up, I thought. There it is. It's on Project Gutenberg. It's a story called The Great Stone Face by Nathaniel Hawthorne. Um, Dave, yes. Danielle started her new job. She's liking it so far. Well, I'm sure she'll like it. And the people there are great. Every day, the hardest part of a job is when you first start, but yeah, she is really liking it so far. So so Chaz is climbing on the stationery. I don't know why you're climbing all over a bunch of paper. Dad joke. Yeah. So wah wah. So anyway, this story is called The Great Stone Face. It's by Nathaniel Hawthorne, and I read it when I was a kid, and I looked it up later in life on the internets. Here it is, American Literature. That's a better looking website. And by the way, Chaz is a really good actor. I've seen him in a couple of things now. So it's about this, I guess, this town, village, really, of people who live in the shadow of these mountains. And one of the mountains, from a certain distance and angle, looked like a face. Quote, it seemed as if an enormous giant or a titan had sculpted, sculptured, wow, should give up while I'm ahead, his own likeness on the precipice. And it was a happy lot for children to grow up to manhood or womanhood with the great stone face before their eyes. For all the features were noble, and the expression was at once grand and sweet, as if it were the glow of a vast warm heart that embraced all mankind in its affections and had room for more. And so this kid named Ernest, no matter how much you push the envelope, it still remains stationary. Oh man. You were a teacher's aide for your dad in 79? How old were you, Darren? So he's a little kid, and his mom says, if an old Ernest says, I wish it could speak to his mom, for it looks so very kindly that its voice must needs be pleasant. If I were to see a man with such a face, I should love him dearly. And his mother says, if an old prophecy should come to pass, we may see a man sometime or other with exactly such a face as that. And he asks her to tell him about the prophecy. And she said, quote, so his mother told him a story that her own mother had told to her when she herself was younger than little Ernest. A story not of things that were past, but of what was yet to come. A story, nevertheless, so very old that even the Indians who formerly inhabited this valley had heard it from their forefathers, to whom, as they affirmed, it had been murmured by the mountain streams and whispered by the wind among the treetops. So this prophecy is basically that at some future day, a child shall be born hereabouts. No freezing tonight, guys. Hereabouts. I missed my place. Yeah, that a child should be born here around here who is destined to become the greatest and noblest personage of his time, and whose countenance and manhood should bear an exact resemblance to the great stone face. And he gets really happy and he says, I hope that I see him. And the next paragraph, just a couple sentences, says his mother was an affectionate and thoughtful woman and felt that it was wisest not to discourage the generous hopes of her little boy. So she said only to him, perhaps you may, but she didn't really believe it. So now I just turned on the desk fan. Let me know if that's if you can hear that. I don't think you can. So the story goes on and on. You can read it for yourself, free online. But so memory serves, Ernest loves these poems and he meets the poet. And so the poet visits, hi Monty. The poet visits the village or whatever it was. And so then he said, you have read these poems, you know me, for I wrote them. And so these poems are just Ernest really loved them. That's all I remember. And Ernest examined the poet's features, then turned towards the great stone face, then back with an uncertain aspect to his guest. But his countenance fell. He shook his head and sighed. "Wherefore are you sad?" inquired the poet. And Ernest says, he's a man. This is later in life. "Because," replied Ernest, "all through life I have awaited the fulfillment of a prophecy." Thanks, Jeff. Good to see you, so to speak. "And when I read these poems, I hoped that it might be fulfilled in you." And the poet says, "You hoped," answered the poet, faintly smiling, "to find in me the likeness of the great stone face, and you are disappointed." As formerly with, and he lists a few other guys that Ernest had his hopes up about. And he said, "Yes, Ernest, you must add my name to the illustrious three and record another failure of your hopes. For in shame and sadness do I speak of it, Ernest. I am not worthy to be typified by yonder benign and majestic image." And Ernest says, "Why are not your thoughts divine?" And he says that in his poems there are strains of the divinity. And then he says basically that they've been only dreams because I have lived, and by that too, by my own choice, among poor and mean realities. He's basically saying that his life hasn't really lived up to his poetry. And then the poet realizes, this is right at the end of the story, that Ernest is the guy who looks like the great stone face, and Ernest doesn't even realize it. To quote, "His eyes glistening with tears," this is the poet, "he gazed reverentially at the venerable man, can't never say that word, and said with himself, trying to find the spot. Oh, yeah, he raised his arms and says, 'Behold, behold, Ernest is himself, the likeness of the great stone face.'" And then the last paragraph is, "Then all the people looked and saw what the deep-sighted poet said was true. The prophecy was fulfilled." This is what happens when I have to put my water over there, Monty, so you won't spill it. But Ernest, having finished what he had to say, took the poet's arm and walked slowly homeward, still hoping that some wiser and better man than himself would by and by appear, bearing a resemblance to the great stone face. I'm sure that there's more than one interpretation of that last paragraph, but I always took it to mean that Ernest lived, he lived what he spoke. And I don't even know how I discovered that story. I guess probably the library, though I don't know why a little kid picked up Nathaniel Hawthorne. And I thought it would be nice to be that kind of person where your actions match up with your words. Excuse me, sir. Monty, why don't you take a load off? There you go. Yeah. Or a girl. Yes, or a woman. So I don't know why I was thinking about that story. I haven't thought about that story in a long time. And I'm not feeling, gosh, Monty, I'm not feeling the greatest tonight, so I don't know how long tonight's going to be. I hope you guys don't mind. It might be very short. But if you were not here Tuesday, then you missed my little freezing fiasco, but it looks like that's been corrected. I think I figured out what the problem was on that. And the picture actually looks better than and it has. But these Tuesday and Thursday nights are going to start going to Patreons only. Now, couple things. We voted on this, and the short version is a majority of those who took the poll said that either they were a Patreon or they'd become a Patreon for these. It's just $5 a month. It's the bottom tier. It's not gonna be any more than that. And I also wanted to mention that if you absolutely can't afford $5 a month, email me. Let me put my email in here again. Mike at michaeldyllandavis.com. Oh, good. No freezing or buffering. Yeah, good. Anyway, email me if you're honest and you can't afford $5 a month, then I'll make sure you get a link to these. As I can't do it for very many people, but I don't want to leave someone out. If you can't spare $5 a month for the Patreon and you really enjoy these, okay. There you go. Why don't you stay over there, Monty? Oh my gosh, you guys. Anyway, then I will do my best to make sure that you still get to be a part of this. The other part of that is even though it'll be a Patreon thing, it's still going to be on YouTube. Okay, so there's not going to be really any change at all. It's going to be just like you see it tonight. Forgive my brain tonight. I was in bed for a couple of hours and I set my alarm so I could come out here and do this. And then I think I'm going to go right back to bed. Fed the cats when I came out here. Here's the kitten report. Um, there's this one kitten. We Danielle named him Peekaboo. They are all so cute, but man, this guy, he he now he and one other kitten lets me pet them. The others are still not sure yet, but they'll get close to me and everything. They're just not sure about being petted. Well, his brother Scout, like, likes me to pet him. But Peekaboo really, really likes it. I mean, really likes it. So I'll pet him and everything. And then sometimes he'll do like Jupiter. Jupiter, when he sees you coming, he'll lay down real quick on his side. Danielle calls it the plop. And he'll lay down on his side and then show you his belly. Well, anyway, that's what Peekaboo's been doing lately. So yeah. All right, now I wanted to ask you guys something else, just so we can all get to know each other a little bit more, even. Yeah, I know, Kim. I'll have to get you guys some more video and photos. I'm curious, some of you said you had to work in the morning. Jeff, I know that's not you. But what do you guys do? You don't have to be real specific if privacy is an issue or whatnot, but I'm just curious. Jazz, I already know what you do too. Alan, Suzanne, I know what you guys do. You can put it in the side chat. They're teachers. I don't think it's a big secret. All right. Yeah. Yeah. It's good to be old. You know what Mark Rainey says? He's busier than ever now that he's retired. All right. I'm really interested in this. Graphic designer. Oh, that's pretty cool. Kim, I worked the phones for a pharmacy PA department for Indiana Medicaid. Oh, okay, I get it. History and econ teacher. PA. What is PA? Oh, prior auth. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Kim's shot to #1, I see. She's got the crown. Yeah. Um, Chaz sent me a, yeah, you emailed it, didn't you? Okay. I'm gonna put this in the, because Chaz is on the stair climber. If my email ever comes up. Chaz sent me a, where is it? Oh yeah, okay. Chaz sent me a link to a movie that he did a while back. It's called Maniac Mickey, right? Miki. And I watched the trailer tonight, earlier today, I should say. There it is. And Shaz appears in part of the trailer. So let me pull it up here. Man, I'm sorry I'm a little slow tonight, but there we go. Paste. That's the best job of all, Marianne. Well, you don't have to hide, and it definitely is weird, but weird is a good thing. Black and white, um, and it just showcases your range from what I've seen. Uh, Huge range. I told you guys about this book, Thoughts of God by Michael Canali, Kanally, published in the 90s. Really interesting book. And I there have been a couple of books that I really enjoyed by this guy, and I've tried to find him online to get him on the podcast, and I can't find the guy. I just can't find him, which is fine. Not everybody wants to be on a podcast, but I'll read you the back. Thoughts of God is a novel unlike any you have ever read. It is a thriller, the tale of two modern-day hunters, one a killer of innocent children, the other a vigilante who vows to take him down. Yet it is so much more. It sees into the future and dwells on the past. It reaches into the galaxies of the universe to recount otherworldly struggles for life and death. And it takes you into the notebook of God, where questions, answerable and unanswerable, build to a violent, dizzying climax of earthly justice and cosmic vengeance. And could nutshell this, I guess you would say that this being who has created the universe is, it's basically a huge experiment, and all spread out all through this modern, well, 90s, but modern day thriller is entries from God's notebook, for lack of better phrasing. And they're easier to spot in the print edition, but there is a Kindle edition also. So anyway, should have bookmarked them. I didn't even know I was going to be talking about this. But I read it actually in the 90s for the first time. And I was blown away by it. Let's see if I can find a couple of these to read. It's a little hard to take though too sometimes because although I think if I remember right, everything turns out okay in the end. Yeah, I can't find any of them. Brilliant. Okay, here we go. On a planet on the fourth arm of a spiral galaxy called the Milky Way, the soul catchers gather. That's not Earth, and that's not a good one. I don't know where this guy even gets these ideas. Anyway, I give up on trying to find the best ones of those, but you should read it. Thoughts of God. Even if you just read the notebooks from God part. So, and then what else am I reading? You guys are familiar with revisiting the Fermi paradox, right? Oh, that's funny. I just started talking about astronomy, Dave. I have not read that one by Stephen yet. I'm sure it's great. All of his stuff is great. And the basic idea is that, and to keep it simply, there are billions of galaxies in the universe, but to keep it simply, we'll just think about the Milky Way for a second. There are billions of stars in the Milky Way that are similar to the sun, to our sun, okay? And there's a high probability, and we know this far better than we did then. Um, some of those stars have Earth-like planets in the Goldilocks zone or the habitable zone, basically where Earth, not too cold, not too hot. That's why they call it the Goldilocks zone. This was in 1950. He's having this physicist named Enrique Fermi is talking with fellow scientists, I believe, about possible life in the universe. And he just says, where are they? And the thought process behind this was, so if there are a lot of stars in the Milky Way, um, with planets in the Goldilocks zone, the thing to know is many of these stars and then therefore their planets are actually much older than our sun. Okay, so that's the first thing. And that being so, intelligent life has the possibility of arising on them, a very long time ago, millions of years ago. And some of those intelligent civilizations must have mastered interstellar travel, even at the slowest speeds. Then where are they? He's basically saying if there's intelligent life out there in the Milky Way, then it's been around. He didn't just they didn't become intelligent, you know, 3,000 years ago. They've been around for millions of years. Yeah. So where are they? Hence the question, where are they? Because they've been around for a long time, so we've just seen them before now. Of course, there are many who argue that we have. So let's pull this up just to aid my memory. Some of the things some of these solutions to the Fermi paradox that have been put forth is that Oink bot. Yeah, the Drake equation is missing a lot of variables. And I think most scientists would say that it's outdated. All right, possible solution. Intelligent life is extremely rare. I personally think this has got a high probability of being the case, although there's no way to know. Um, maybe there's life everywhere. Maybe it's a very common thing, but there's no intelligent life, no self-aware life is out there. So, there's all kinds of animal life and plant life in the universe, but they don't make movies or travel to other planets, that kind of thing. I forget the actual term, but another possible solution to the Fermi paradox is that intelligent civilizations self-destruct. If you think about us, humans, you can very easily see why this might be the case. Once a civilization gets to a certain point in their growth, you know, they split the atom and destroy themselves or something similar. Um, the limitations in space, maybe intelligent civilizations. When we imagine intelligent life, it's natural to imagine it as with the same motivations that we have. Of course, they're going to want to travel the universe. Well, maybe they don't feel like it, you know? Maybe they're Kryptonians. Um, another one that I really like, a couple that I really like, is that they're out there everywhere. They're aware of us, but they think we're a bunch of idiots and they don't want us um, spreading our idiocy throughout the galaxy. So they don't contact us. I like this one too. Um, civilizations might reach a point where they stop expanding and exploring, instead focusing on existing sustainability. And so those are just a few. I don't have the scientific wherewithal to teach a class on this or anything, but it is interesting to me. Um, the a cousin of one of the they're aware of us, but they don't want anything to do with us, is something like the Star Trek Prime Directive, where until we get to a certain point, they're not going to interfere with us at all. So anyway, unless of course Kirk needs to save Spock, and in that case, all bets are off. Gym Club. Let's see what your counter argument is, Chaz. Assuming that faster than light travel is possible. Um, someone says the one at the top says the most compelling solution for me personally is the idea that we are pretty early in the window for the viability of intelligent life. Um, that's I don't see that there are too many stars in the Milky Way that are a lot older than our star, so I don't see that personally. But anyway, there's your astronomy talk for the day. Man, I'm really happy about the stream. It's all right. 248 answers. Yeah. Um, I don't know how I feel about it. You know, um, they're visiting us silently and secretly and taking some um, humans up into their spacecraft to be probed doesn't really make much sense, but who knows? It's fun to think about, but I don't know who it was that said that the universe, we're either the only life out there or we're not, and either possibility is frightening in a way. Yeah, we are on the edge of the Milky Way. Yeah, and also look up in the night sky, how beautiful it is. But remember, we're out on the near the edge of the Milky Way. What if our planet was somewhere two-thirds in or one-third in to the center? The night sky would be so brilliant, it would be almost daytime. I mean, there would be just that would be quite the night sky. So anyway, be sure to let me know if you can't do the um, $5 a month for the Patreon. And remember, if you're not a patron and you become a Patreon for this, uh, it, you're not becoming a Patreon just for this. There are so many great uh, podcasts on the Patreon, Patreon only podcasts. It's pretty cool. Um, I'm reading what Chaz wrote. I don't understand the question, but that could be the kind of night I'm having. Uh, if you're new, don't take this night as a representation of my intelligence or speaking ability because, man, I'm out of it. I haven't been feeling good all week. And I know we didn't have one last Thursday, which I try not to skip any. So I didn't want to skip tonight. So I set my alarm. Here we are. I don't know if I made your night any better, but it that was fascinating. Maybe I did better than I thought. Thanks, Darren. So anyway, here is the Patreon link. I guess you guys all know about Laird. John texted me on Monday. And I can't say too much, but I didn't say anything until I saw that John did on Wednesday. So I linked to John's article or blog post about it. And yeah, you can send them get well cards to John's post office box. Um, so, oh, by the way, speaking of mail, uh, thanks for this, Chaz, and your note. I appreciate it. It's a nice surprise. So yeah, he's still in the hospital. Um, he's got a lot of doctor visits ahead of him, which does not make him happy. But I won't say any more about it. Uh, but just keep him in your thoughts, I guess. And yeah, um, thank you. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me tonight. I'm sorry that my brain is only at 50%, but I'm going to go back to bed and hopefully fix it before Sunday because we're going to have Brian Hodge on the podcast on Sunday. Oh, speaking of Sundays, wasn't that a great conversation with John this past Sunday? I thought that was one of my favorite Sunday episodes in recent memory. So, um, yeah. Anyway, thanks guys for the get well wishes, and I will see you on Sunday. Have a good night, everybody.